Wow, this is great, isn't it? Loads of cameras. Do you have a favorite angle?
No. I think they're all superb. So you're good.
I knew I should have done my makeup. Amin, thank you so much for coming. Really excited to have you here. Look, let's talk about AI, right? Particularly AI value. I know in your role, you've seen loads of it. So where do you think we're getting it wrong? Where's the AI value?
Thanks for having me, Ed. I think we're getting it wrong in quite a few places. Unfortunately, I think there's a dominant narrative nowadays around efficiency dominating the value story. And frankly, I think AI requires a better PR rep. And so we're talking about cost savings and we're talking about replacing white collar work. When in reality, I think the value of AI will come from augmenting humans, from productivity and raising the ceiling of what's possible by compressing the cost of execution.
Yeah, that's super interesting, right? I tend to see this as trying to understand differences between deliverable, outcome, benefit, and value. It feels a bit convoluted, but can I go for an analogy?
Yeah, of course.
What's your favorite food? If you were to order at a restaurant.
Yeah, so it's a very hard one for me to pick. It feels unfair to the other foods that I really like, but for the sake of this exercise, I'm gonna say seafood.
Seafood, okay. So I have a restaurant, I'm a chef, I have just put together a nice seafood dish for you, paella maybe, yeah? Now that's my deliverable, right?
Yeah.
Fine, that's quite straightforward. The outcome is you're gonna enjoy it or not, and you're gonna no longer be hungry. That's fine, but it's not enough. That's not benefit to me as a restaurateur. For you, maybe it's fine. But the key question then becomes, if you start talking to other people about my restaurant and bringing more people in, that's a benefit. I got loads of reviews. That's still not value. The value when other people come in and spend money in my restaurant, and my restaurant is now busy, right? So do you see what I mean? So it's very similar in the AI side. People are thinking about delivering AI tools. Then some of the outcomes, reduction of time.
Yep.
But is that a benefit?
Yeah.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah. So we often track adoption in isolation from value, which means absolutely nothing, especially with the important word in your sentence, which is tools. There's still, to this day, the dominant idea is having to create AI tools. What AI tools do, they just push the bottleneck to somewhere else in the chain. Right. So if you think about drafting presentations as a baseline example, you can do it faster, but it doesn't mean that the meeting where you will approve the idea, right, or then what needs to happen with the findings from that presentation is going to happen sooner.
Yeah.
So if your AI strategy consists of rolling out separate task-based tools within the flow that isn't being reimagined end-to-end, you are just effectively pushing the bottleneck to another place in the chain. And that means that the time that you are saving isn't necessarily going to be deployed towards a more value-add space. In worst case scenario, it might just be slack, or it might be deployed towards over-polishing assets, and then that's raising the ceiling idea of being able to do more with less, or pushing or breaking the productivity constraints aren't going to happen. So I think you're right. There's a adoption versus value question, and there's a tools versus workflow question that we're only starting to get into now that the chatbot era is over and we're progressing towards agentic.
Very interesting. So adoption and training is not all the answer, right? So you heard this here first, by the way. So where have you seen this working really well?
So I've seen this work well when, first of all, there's a top level mandate with a clear thesis around the value you're trying to unlock to what point, right? People don't wake up in the morning thinking, how do I reimagine the way I work and let me vibe code my way to a better system? I mean, it doesn't happen, right? So if you're relying on goodwill, and if you're relying on people deciding that they need to do better and be more productive in isolation of a broader mandate, I mean, you're not in good shape. So the first piece is a top level mandate with a clear thesis around what are you trying to unlock and where are you going to redeploy that time if we're talking about productivity as the start. The second one for me is placing a a very small number of selected strategic bets. Especially in organizations where AI engineering is concentrated or centralized, teams end up with a wish list that just never ends from various parts of the business because people are enthusiastic and because it feels that everything can be rethought and reimagined and improved. And so that often leads to a sequence of one pilot after the other without never investing the time and care and effort that is required to take something from pilot to production. So the strategy should define and enable you to highlight the 2-3 macro areas that feel like the most important. And then your value thesis is then translated into what metrics am I trying to shift? What is the baseline? Without measuring the baseline to start with, you're never going to be able to prove that there is any upside. So what is my baseline? What metrics am I trying to shift? And then in terms of the execution itself, small teams, highly capable engineers paired up with domain experts and BA resource to give you the ability to map out the work as is, identify the high leverage points for AI, redesign new systems end to end, and not starting from where does AI fit to change the way things are done, but how can I do things differently? And that's where real value is unlocked. It's for reimagining not where there's a tool fit, but how can I create a new flow that is streamlined, enables me to be a lot more productive.
Yeah, I love your point about defining metrics, right? That's really important. So if I go back to my analogy and the whole deliverables, outcomes, benefits, and value, it's really important to define the use case, right? So if we then go, okay, I'll give you an AI tool, which will save you time, that's not enough to go all the way through business value. But if we say, let's do this in our contact center, you are a contact center agent, I'll give you a tool that will help you get to the answer for our customers much quicker. That already gives a benefit for the customer saying, hey, I'll now get everything more quickly solved. But more importantly, it's a satisfied customer that reduces churn. So that customer now is retained. So that is clear value for the business, right? So I think that's the key. It's not just about giving tools for people can use AI. That might be a benefit for them individually, that's fine, even professionally, but for the business, it needs to be very specific use cases.
But the irony is that there's nothing new there, right? So we're talking about the most disruptive technology in generations, and yet we're back to the basics of define the metrics you're trying to shift and execute and place a small number of strategic bets and be very clear on what you're trying to. So it's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. Right? These are ultimately the basic, the hygiene factor of like how good work, how work is done in the workplace. So coming back to this notion of AI is not just a technology problem, right? Because we haven't talked about technology so far. Because the model, even if the development of LLMs stop right now and the labs shut down, there's still what they label as a capability overhang. There's still a massive gap between what AI could unlock fully deployed and embedded into enterprise operations and the way we're using it now.
Yeah.
And so the onus isn't so much on technology, although the execution capability still resides there, but it's on the other parts of the business raising AI fluency across the board, distributing engineering capability, not necessarily sort of hardcore software engineering, but people who understand where does AI sit and what solutions can I work with. And then you're back to change management, project management, cultural topics and adoption. So the irony is that the biggest technological change right now, the unlock, isn't in technology anymore. It's in the functions that surround it.
It's fantastic. So fundamentally, AI is like an F1 car, but we're using it just to go down the shop to get some milk and bread, right? Fundamentally.
I mean, it's an F1 car that isn't 100% likely to be able to finish the race.
Yes,
right.
Very good point.
Number one, and then was designed for a general purpose. All right, when you wanted to drive it on a very specific track, which is your company. So
exactly,
it's not like a magic solution. And then we're the problem, we're the bottleneck. It's a general purpose technology with accuracy problems and without the interfaces or a clear product angle, because chatbots are not products.
Yeah.
right? So all remains to be done in terms of, I mean, they're trying to sell this idea of like it's magic, but it's absolutely not. It's actually really hard work.
Yeah.
Moving from pilot to a production, and between something that looks good on paper and something that delivers value that is fine-tuned to your use case, has your company context, and is tailored to the very specific journeys or flows that you're trying to optimize for in the enterprise is absolutely not.
Perfect. Now we can talk about AI and Formula One forever. These are my favorite topics. But to close us off, maybe, look, I mean, you've worked across implementation, strategy, commercial. What are the main leadership learnings that we can then apply to the new AI era?
Sounds very basic, but clarity around the vision, the ambition, and what is it that you want AI to achieve, and then telling the right value story to your people, because you can't, on the one side, let a narrative around job displacement dominate and then measure them on adoption of the same tools, right? So you need to be coherent on what is it that you're trying to achieve and how is it deployed and why is it that you think it's so important to embed AI into operations, right? So vision, ambition, a clear value story, and then building an execution engine that works in this context, which is very small team, embedded as close to the customer as possible, with domain experts at the heart of it, as a reminder that it's not just technology, it's a business problem in the broadest possible sense.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so fundamentally, we're back to basics, right? AI is just a tool. Ever. Yeah, we've done loads of technology implementation in the past, right? So this is just another one. Yeah, it sounds fantastic, and focus on the metrics and the use cases. I mean, thank you so much for coming. It's been a fantastic conversation.
Thank you for having me. Why is it? Oh, I ripped it. It's because of you. You should just leave my feet here.